In this week's drive, we go all day and all night in Germany, throw it all away in Australia, reveal something new and radical in South Africa, and see why a caddie thinks he's a racing driver. All this and more in this week's Drive. Ahead of the Spanish Grand Prix, Michael Schumacher and Ferrari teammate Rubens Barrichello took time out to launch a Think Before You Drive road safety campaign. Partnered by Bridgestone, the campaign promotes simple life-saving measures aimed at reducing the number of people killed and injured on the road.
Once you think about it, that's the first step and the most important step, that you watch for your child, you watch for your headrest, you watch for your tires, and you watch for your safety belt. It's little things, they take you a few seconds and they can save so many lives.
It's estimated that more than 3,000 people die each day on the world's roads, nearly 1.2 million a year. For Rubens, ignoring simple safety checks can be lethal.
We can race as fast as we can on the racing track, but on the road we are different persons, and we give away that few seconds that you can actually save your life on the tire, on the seat belt, and on the restraints on the hand. So it's just as important as driving fast.
Road traffic injuries are second only to HIV/AIDS as the leading cause of early death among men aged 15 to 44. Globally, road traffic injuries cost $518 billion annually. Seatbelts can improve the chances of surviving a crash by over 40% and have saved at least 30,000 lives in the past 25 years. Child seats are 71% effective in reducing infant fatalities, yet 90% of restraints are wrongly used. Whiplash incidents caused by ill-adjusted head restraints make up 35% of collision injuries worldwide. For years, Formula One has been at the forefront of track and road safety. Teams have pioneered research into safety on their cars, including driver head restraints, safer chassis design, and tyre technology. But after the disastrous Spanish Grand Prix, where Schumacher retired from second place with tyre failure, Bridgestone isn't Ferrari's favourite partner. Ferrari's president, Luca de Montezemolo, pointed the finger at Bridgestone to explain the team's lack of success this season. In an interview in the Italian daily La Repubblica, de Montezemolo said it is not only the punctures in Spain that are to blame, it's a general lack of performance of the Japanese tyres. After 5 races, he believes they have a very competitive car, but there is a big problem with the tyres. But he knows that Bridgestone are working hard to improve the situation. The 33rd International ADAC 24-hour race took place in front of 180,000 spectators at the Nürburgring's Nordschleife circuit in Germany. The Nordschleife, nicknamed the Green Hell, is challenging at the best of times, and the race began in treacherous conditions. There was trouble for the leading Dodge Viper as early as lap 7. The rest of the race was a battle between BMW teams 1 and 2, and although weather conditions improved, it was not without its problems. Former F1 driver Pedro Lamy was among the BMW quartet that won last year, alongside Dirk and Jörg Müller and Hans-Joachim Stuck. He returned this year as the lead driver for BMW 2 and helped the team to victory ahead of his former teammates, who finished 5 laps back in second place. The Porsche, driven by Luhr, Bernard, Collard and Tierman, briefly held second place. As in all long-distance races, careful pit work and team strategy is vital to keep the car and the drivers fresh, fully functional and fast. Despite a valiant fight and a front-row start, the bright green Porsche was eventually classified 9th. Suspension failure caused the retirement of the Falcon Nissan from 3rd place after this minor collision with the barrier. Lamy was partnered by Boris Said, Duncan Huisman and Andy Priaulx. From the island of Guernsey, the reigning European touring car champion who will soon test the Formula One Williams. The Zaxby Dodge Viper of Zakowski, Lechner and Burt finished 3rd, a further 2 laps behind BMW 1, completing 132 laps of the Green Hell. With 21 separate classes and 220 cars from 28 different manufacturers entered, there were over 800 drivers from 23 nations involved. They included Hermann Tilke, designer of Grand Prix tracks in China, Bahrain and Turkey, who shared a Jaguar with Dirk Adolf and Patrick Simon. The stands at the famous Talladega high-speed banked oval raceway were packed with spectators as the Aaron's 499 got off to a clean start. Trouble on lap 37 for Jeff Green. His left rear tyre shredded, causing him to spin 3 times along the track. Somehow, every other driver was able to avoid crashing into him. Talladega is one of just 2 tracks where drivers race with mandated restrictor plates to reduce power output. But the restrictor plates tend to cause cars to bunch up, with cars racing in close proximity to each other, raising concerns of a big crash. And the big one took place on lap 132. Dale Earnhardt in car number 8 was battling towards the back of the top 10 when he nudged the rear of Mike Wallace's car as the cars headed towards the first turn. Wallace made contact with points leader Jimmy Johnson and slid sideways, setting off a melee that eventually involved more than half of the 43-car field. In all, 25 cars were taken out by this massive chain reaction crash. Officials stopped the race to remove the cars, clean up the debris and complete repairs to the energy-absorbing barrier. So many cars ended up packed together in the muddy infield grass between the first 2 turns that it looked like an extremely expensive scrapyard. Incredibly, no injuries were reported. There was another crash, this one only involving 6 cars with just 6 laps left. Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt, Martin Truex, Greg Biffle, Kevin Harvick and Travis Kvapil suffered damage. Johnson brushed the outside wall, hit Harvick, which forced Truex into Earnhardt. Jeff Gordon avoided trouble and won a sprint to the finish after a restart with 2 laps left, holding off Tony Stewart and Michael Waltrip. This was Gordon's 72nd career victory, 4 less than the legendary Dale Earnhardt. It was also his 4th win in the last 5 races at Talladega and Daytona, the only tracks where restrictor plates are used. On the other side of the Atlantic, similar cars race in England. Called ASCAR last year, for 2005 it's the SCSA Stock Car Series. Poor weather forced the abandonment of qualifying at Rockingham, an hour north of London, so grid positions for race 1 were set by last year's championship positions, with rookies at the back. Reigning champ Stevie Hodgson didn't waste his pole position and took an early lead. Back in the pack, there were problems with Tony King running up the back of Ian McKellar on lap 1, with rookies Hunter Abbott, Gavin Seeger and Shane Brereton all getting caught up in the crash. The race was over for King and Brereton, while the others continued, with Abbott posting an impressive 6th place on his debut. Once the race restarted, Hodgson quickly reasserted his dominance as he burst between John Mickle and Keith White to reclaim the lead. Hodgson went on to take the checkered flag after 60 laps of the 1.5-mile circuit, finishing nearly 6 seconds clear of teammate Mickle, with Michael Vergers back in 3rd. Finishing positions in race 1 determined the grid for race 2, and when Hodgson took the lead into turn 1, his rivals must have thought they were racing for 2nd. Vergers may have had something to say about the result if he'd started from 3rd on the grid, but radio problems saw him held in the pits and forced the NEC driver to pull off some nice passes to work his way through from the back of the field. Debris on the track saw the yellow flags out on lap 40, and it suited Mickle, who had claimed the lead on lap 3. He powered away in the final third of the race to win his first race since the 2001 season when he was crowned champion. With Hodgson 1.6 seconds away in 2nd, the pair now share top spot in the overall standings with 395 points, courtesy of a 1st and a 2nd each, and Mickle clearly enjoyed being back in the limelight. Vergers' impressive 3rd has him on 380 points. The drivers will resume their battle with rounds 3 and 4 taking place at Rockingham in June.
And that is our top 3 for round 2 of the SCSA Stock Car Championship.
The Targa Tasmania is an international tarmac rally with competitive stages on closed roads. Tasmania is an island state south of the world's largest island country, Australia. Tony Quinn was a contender until this incident. Quinn, guided by Tasmania's Keith Wen, was 3rd going into the leg when their 4-wheel drive turbocharged Porsche went off 4 kilometres into the Queenstown stage. The battle for top spot in the 5-day, 2,100-kilometre event was hard fought as 7-times winner Jim Richards' two-wheel drive Porsche 911 GT3 struggled to keep up on the pace set by Tasmanian uncle and nephew team Jason and John White in the Nissan Skyline GTR in inclement conditions. With the Whites dominating the field throughout the day, Tasmania's Greg Garwood and his navigator John Allen came in 6 seconds behind in a turbocharged four-wheel drive Porsche 911, with gentleman Jim Richards another 33 seconds further back. With Quinn out of contention, Victorian Rex Broadbent moved up the field to finish 4th in a Daytona Coupe, with Kevin Weeks 1 minute and 19 seconds behind in a Porsche 911 GT2. Rounding out the top 10, top international golfer Stuart Appleby displayed his outstanding ability behind the wheel of the Lamborghini Gallardo in the car's international motorsport debut. An amazing achievement for the Targa Tasmania rookie in light of the challenge posed by the day's conditions.
Very serious event. Not say very serious event. A lot of adrenaline, more adrenaline pumping. You calm down, you drive, then you race, you drive. It's up and down. Weather's changing. Overall, all these emotions hit you, and you just finish the event. You finish it, and you think, man, finishing it is an effort.
A great achievement from Appleby, but the overall victory went to the Whites. The journey towards a Targa Tasmania triumph has spanned more than 6 years for the uncle and nephew duo, and Hobart-based Jason said their win was mainly attributable to the handling of the GTR in the final day's torrential weather. The fourth round of the World Superbikes of Monza was a must-win race for the Ducati team and defending champion James Toseland. Monza is essentially their home track. But once again it was the Suzukis of Troy Corser and Yukio Kageyama who led the pack from the go in race 1. Behind them, Frenchman Regis Laconi forced his Ducati past Australian Andrew Pitt for third. Another Australian, Chris Vermeulen, broke his Honda's engine on the second of 18 laps. To the delight of the partisan crowd, Laconi pushed his Ducati past Kageyama for second place, but couldn't hold on to the position. Englishman James Toseland managed to pass Pitt down the straight for 4th place, finding his Ducati suited to the high-speed, fast-cornering circuit, moving through the field from 8th on the grid to give fans a glimpse of the form he showed last year. And soon he was chasing the leaders. Ahead, Laconi was still trying everything to get past Kageyama and make it stick, eventually running offline, allowing the world champ to get by and claim 3rd place. Into the final lap, Toseland, who's endured a wretched start to the season, was still hard at it, trying to take Kageyama on the Parabolica corner, but up ahead, former world champion Troy Corser claimed yet another win. Laconi finished 4th and Pitt took 5th place. In race 2, it was Regis Laconi who led into the first corner. He soon chiselled a small lead, leaving the trailing pack to fight amongst themselves. 3 Australians, Corser, Pitt and Vermeulen, and a lone Japanese, Kageyama, chased the Frenchman's Ducati with their Suzukis, Yamahas and Hondas. With a fresh engine, Vermeulen took Pitt for 4th and was soon joined by his teammate, yet another Australian, Carl Muggeridge. Toseland was unable to repeat his pace of race 1, but got past Pitt for 6th place. The 17-lap race, shortened by a lap because of a restart, became a 4-way battle. Perhaps distracted by the larger leading pack, Corser started to go backwards. First, his teammate Kageyama beat him under braking for 2nd place, and then the Honda of Chris Vermeulen pushed him down into 4th. Vermeulen and Kageyama then fought it out and exchanged places several times. Kageyama's dreams of a win on his birthday turned to dust when, defending his position, he ran wide on lap 10 into the Italian gravel and out of the race. Vermeulen then had Laconi in his sights. Perhaps it was premature tyre wear, but the Frenchman was unable to match the young Australian for pace and soon could no longer defend against him. Vermeulen took him on the last lap and held on for his first victory of the season. He finished half a second ahead of Laconi and third-place Troy Corser with 2 seconds further back. Teammate Carl Muggeridge finished fourth, while James Toseland secured fifth to give him his best points haul from one meeting in what has been a disappointing season so far. Corser's lead is impressive, and Suzuki leads Honda by 63 points and Ducati by 91. The challenging second round of the World Motocross Championship saw some exceptional racing through the woodlands of Belgium near the scenic town of Namur. It was Denmark's Brian Jorgensen who set the early pace on the muddy course. He was aided on his way by the close battle for second and third between Steve Ramon, Joel Smets, Stefan Everts and Michael Pichon. Towards the latter stages of the race, it was Everts making ground, first taking Pichon for third place and then Marvin van Diel for second place. But the charge by the multiple world champion was too little too late to challenge his Yamaha teammate Jorgensen, who crossed the line for his first win and a valuable 25 points. Race 2 was a different matter. Record-setting Stefan Everts regards the hills and flats, sand and mud of the technical track as his favourite place to race. Jorgensen again had a terrific start ahead of Everts and Smets, but the hometown hero Everts had studied the course and made some changes to his bike's setup, and was soon in the lead ahead of Jorgensen, who then seemed to go backwards. First, Ben Townley caught and overtook the Dane for second place. And then Joel Smets made his stand for the last podium position. Suzuki riding Smets is another Belgian multiple former world champion who understands the tricky Namur track. Another win for Everts moves him further ahead in the overall standings. He now has 172 points from just 4 events, 27 above Frenchman Michael Pichon in second place. The motocross series now travels across the border to Germany for the European Grand Prix in Tuchendal. Not surprisingly, Yamaha lead the manufacturer's standings, 19 points ahead of Honda, in turn a single point ahead of KTM and 11 ahead of Suzuki. Not far away, round 2 of the Supermoto World Championship was also affected by the changeable conditions of Namur. Gerald Delapine led with some big names behind him, notably defending world champion Thierry van der Bosch, but the Frenchman overcooked a corner while in third place. The ensuing hold-up gave Delapine his second win of the day on his Husqvarna. Bert Hiemer of Germany finished third overall. Christian Idden came fourth, a good result for the Englishman. His consistent results over the past 2 events moved him into fourth place in the championship standings. Thierry van der Bosch was on a mission, making his way through the field to claim his second place of the day behind Delapine, who has had 3 wins from 4 races and leads the championship with 97 points. The weather held fine for the start of the second race of S2, so the mud from earlier heats turned to dust. Thierry Godefroid of Belgium started well and took the lead, but was being chased hard by Frederick Bolly and a charging Trampus Parker. Bolly took the lead from Godefroid and looked to have the win in the bag, but then the heavens opened and havoc broke loose. Godefroid stayed upright and regained the lead. He held on for his first win of the season. Added to his second place in race 1, the Belgian now has 56 points and moves into third place in the championship. Fellow Belgian Eddie Seal still leads the title with 82. "25 years after it single-handedly created the adventure sport off-road genre, BMW have revealed that it will launch the HP2 Enduro in September. The HP2, meaning High Performance 2-cylinder, is an uncompromising and exceptionally light street-legal off-road motorcycle. It was developed in secret by BMW engineers who simply love motorcycles and wanted to make the most of the recently launched R1200 GS to take the bike much further along the dirt side of the dual sport equation. The R1200 is a massive 30 kilos lighter than its predecessor, and now the HP2 loses a further 24 kilograms. Combining the low centre of gravity intrinsic to the flat twin boxer engine with smooth and powerful acceleration from low engine speeds, the HP2 is in many cases superior to even the toughest single-cylinder machine on difficult, slow trails and tracks. In addition, performance from a big engine and the engineered instability of an enduro boxer on fast sections are legendary. To demonstrate the competition capabilities of the new HP2, BMW supports and manages a private racing team, which will enter events such as the Baja 500 and the Baja 1000 in California. Key features of the HP2 include the 1170cc flat twin engine with an increased output of 77 kilowatts, upside-down telescopic forks with 270 millimeters of travel, the world's first rear spring damper system running entirely on air, and a tubular space frame based on the R900R racing machines used by the factory's works teams in the Dakar Rally. Weight savings have come from details like the elimination of the engine's balancer shaft, a light 13-litre fuel tank made of level-revealing semi-transparent polyethylene, and a new silencer that's almost 2 kilos lighter. The HP2 is not designed to carry hard luggage. Pointing the way ahead for BMW's motorcycle division, the HP2 is the first model in a new, independent category of bikes. Based on BMW's latest generation Boxer engines, HP-designated machines will combine a clear focus on sporting performance and exclusive features. These very special motorcycles are being developed by a small team of passionate professionals working outside the usual BMW design and engineering system in a so-called skunkworks. A special team mentality guarantees that the development engineers' experience, their personal know-how and individual touch go straight into the product without any filters or barriers. Despite the almost hand-built nature of the HP bikes, the engineers and designers still have access to the most advanced computer-aided design, development and simulation tools, plus all the technical advantages of a large company such as BMW. This mixture of high technology and craftsmanship will give all the HP motorcycles a unique appeal. In addition, exclusive training programs and fascinating off-road tours are being prepared specifically for HP2 buyers, who are expected to be enthusiasts with particular riding skills and demands, and not a little bit of spare cash. The new range of motorcycles will be extremely special, exclusive, and they will remain relatively rare. The price will reflect the bike's features, high specification level, and comparatively small production volume. Remember, you saw it in action first on Drive. When Steve Williams isn't caddying for the world's most famous golfer, he'll be driving his limited saloon on a dirt oval in his native New Zealand. Williams recently crashed, for the second time in 3 months, rolling 5 times. Williams was examined by trackside paramedics but didn't need medical treatment. In January, Williams had surgery on his left hand after he flipped his car and hit a barrier on the last lap of a race, also in New Zealand.
Told Tiger, you know, there's a few things in life you haven't got much of. One of them is patience, and I said, you're going to have to learn a bit of that with me when I come back.
And it seems Tiger did, claiming his 9th major event, the Masters, in Augusta last month. However, this time, instead of Tiger's patience being tested, his nerves may be stretched by his crash-hot caddy. So, whether you're meeting new dummies, creating a $10 million scrap heap, or staying up and staying ahead, so you stay on track and up to speed, make sure you catch next week's Drive.